Recently, I made a video where I talked about the top three things that I liked the most about living in Colombia. But on this video, I'm going to talk about the top three things that I dislike the most about living in Colombia. So first off, I have to say is the blatant disrespect for time people have here. Unfortunately, I've noticed this is a common thing across Latin cultures. Coming from Puerto Rico, I can pretty much confirm this. I'd say it's actually worse here. But I was used to the US way of doing things where everyone's punctual, everyone respects your time. But here it's so bad. There was a time in the first few days that I was here. I booked an appointment for a haircut for 2 p.m. I showed up like a few minutes earlier. The barber wasn't even there, so I talked to the clerk. She tells me to have a seat while I'm waiting. The barber showed up like 15 minutes past the appointment time. But to top it all off, there was another dude waiting on the lobby with me, and it turns out this was the dude's like 1:30 p.m. appointment. So the barber was late for his previous appointment that he had to finish cutting this guy's hair before getting to my appointment. That's something that unfortunately happens a lot. Things like that. I've had apartment showings where we agree to go see an apartment at 3 p.m. and the landlord shows up at 3:30. It's insane how blatant it is and how just culturally accepted it is. I don't like it. You do begin to account for buffers in terms of your planning because it is what it is. This even happens on dates when, let's say, you agree for a date at 8 p.m., you're not going to be there at 8. There's ways around this, like you could order, an Uber for the date just so you know when she's going to get there and things like that. But overall, it's extremely annoying. I like to be as punctual as possible and as time efficient as possible. And the culture here doesn't really lend itself well for that. The second thing I dislike the most is how difficult anything that has to do with real estate is, especially if you're a foreigner. Getting a long-term lease here, I think, has to be one of the hardest things that I've encountered in my time living here, because there's so many foreigners coming in that, first of all, Airbnbs, not only are they shot up in price, but you can't really find a place that's going to be available for more than like 30 days, like a month at a time. It's always going to be jumping from place to place, small pockets at a certain location. And if you try to go for leases through local means, local real estate agencies, they'll usually ask for what's called a CDT, which is essentially a security deposit. But it's not like in the US where they'll ask for 1 month or 2 months rent. No, they'll ask for like 6 months rent upfront deposit. And it just makes no sense. It's insane. So that's probably one of the biggest hassles that I've had to deal with here. That's another annoying thing. But once you spend some time in the city and you start to get to know people that can help you out with looking for a place, you get to know some owners or you spend some time bouncing between Airbnbs, that helps with finding more places because then you have like local contacts that you can reach out to help with that. But initially, the barrier to entry to actually be able to access those contacts and find a place is extremely annoying. And the third thing I dislike the most about living in Colombia, I have to say, is a general lack of urgency. And let me explain. After living in Miami, I got used to being in an environment where everyone is a go-getter. It's all systems go, high energy, high ambitions, high goals. But here, keep managing expectations. It is a third world country, and that means that the context that people have here is extremely different than the context that a first world country has. And this shows in many different areas, like the respect for time issue that I mentioned earlier, but also just in a sense of work ethic. The minimum wage here is $300 estimated, depending on the fluctuation of the currency. And unfortunately, most people have a $300 a month work ethic. And that reflects in a lot of areas. There was a time where I needed to go to a store to buy like a piece of equipment. It was an electronics store. And it said on Google Maps that it opened up at 9 a.m. It was a small, local owned small business. The owner showed up at 10:15. I had to wait for 1 hour just for the dude to show up. And that to me just blew my mind. I could not believe that, like, that's his business. How could you not care about it? And That's an unfortunate reality. It's going to be hard to relate to people here, especially if you're working on building a business, you're trying to find ambitious people to network with. Those people are here. Most of them are expats, but as far as locals go, that's a minority because the locals who actually are ambitious, they left the country, they're not here. That's the reality. And the small minority that do stay here, they stay within their small inner circles. That's something that took a while to sink in. I am thankful though that I do have a lot of friends that I've met through online entrepreneurship communities that are here in the city that, you know, they're, of course, they're either digital nomads, entrepreneurs, and these are the people that I typically associate with because we have common interests. But overall, it's something that, you know, I do miss about cities like Miami because not everyone is on the lookout for opportunities like a like Miami offers. Here, people just mainly just want to relax. Weekends are slow. Everyone just, you know, is pretty comfortable despite it being a poor country. People don't really have much urgency to change their situation, unfortunately. And those are the three things that I dislike the most about living here in Colombia. But regardless, it is still a beautiful country. I still like it very, very much. Has a lot to offer, a lot of opportunities. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And the truth is, nowhere in the world is perfect. You have to find the place that best suits what it is that you're looking for. And as always, I encourage anyone to try something out. Don't take my word for it. Try it out. See what you think, see what you like, whether it's Colombia or some other country. That should be, your opinion should be the one that matters the most, not the one that you get from a random YouTube video. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something. If you did, feel free to share in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.